listeners, now watchers of the Daily Gaily podcast. I come to you from somewhere special today, right next to my hometown, a place called Salt Creek. It's right on the Strait of Juan de Fuca, which feeds into the Pacific Ocean. There's lots of cool stuff. You can see a sea stack behind me, which is all sorts of cool geologic stuff that I'm not going to talk about now. There are also really cool tide pools where you can see sea anemones and urchins and sculpins and chitons and limpets and all sorts of good stuff. And that's all great, and I do love maritime sea life and cool stuff like that. But I'm here to talk about something interesting, something you probably aren't familiar with. And it has to do with the U.S. and military history in far western Washington. If you did not know, the city of Bremerton on the Kitsap Peninsula is home to one of the country's largest naval bases, as in it has nuclear warheads and stuff. And it's been one of the largest naval bases in the Pacific Northwest for quite some time. And as is the case with military assets, you need to protect them. So starting in the 1800s, late 1800s, we started to build a bunch of military forts out along the Olympic Peninsula. Fun fact, one of them is where I used to do band camp when I was in high school. And the whole idea was that you would have these armaments set up along the Strait of Juan de Fuca to defend primarily this base in Bremerton, but largely Seattle and all of this area were, war to break out. So it turns out war eventually did break out a couple times, and it was really in World War II when this area was actually at risk and we had to build some actual armaments to defend the area. One such place happens to be here at Salt Creek. Let me show you around. Welcome to the World War II Coastal Defense System. On this map, you will see all of the military installations that were done, all to mostly protect both Bremerton and Seattle. Notice on the map Port Angeles, that is where I grew up, and that little star on the left near Camp Hayden, that's basically where I'm at now. So the idea was to build all of these military forts to protect Puget Sound and the, greater Pacific Northwest area. And so part of this network included a series of military bunkers. And turns out we're at one right now. And this is one such bunker where troops would have been housed, stationed, to keep an eye on the coast. And now they're mostly just a place to drive through, legit, there's just a road here. And so visitors to Salt Creek can just drive through these bunkers and see a bunch of kind of sealed off nothing. I guess it's not that interesting, but I think it's kind of interesting. So inside, I don't know what this central area is, but there's a bunch of fake ammunitions, I guess, to make it look all cool and bunkery. And then there are all of these sealed off doors. Presumably all of them are kind of connected via a tunnel system that you can't go in, unfortunately. But they're full of all these different rooms, and they made up a large network of I think there are 5 or 6 bunkers out here at Salt Creek alone. Now, fortunately, war never hit the mainland U.S. during World War II. It never came to the peninsula, it never came to Puget Sound, but there were these installations ready in the event that such a thing were to happen. And, I grew up here, and I spent a lot of time out here at Salt Creek exploring these bunkers, and I think it's a really cool piece of history that is not really well known out of the area, but I think it's also important to know kind of the flip side to this history. So this is one element, out here next to Port Angeles. But another part of my childhood was taking the ferry from Bainbridge Island, to Seattle. And Bainbridge Island was another historical place during World War II, as it was essentially ground zero to the Japanese internment camp system. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt essentially started the program there to see if he could successfully remove Japanese American citizens from their homes in Bainbridge Island and remove them to internment camps. And the program was successful, and that's what led to the widespread removal of Japanese Americans from their homes during World War II, which is a much uglier side of American history. But much like the existence of these bunkers out here, I think it's a part of our history that we should know about, so as it is said, to not repeat that history.